everybody, and welcome back to Storytime with Sarah. We are exactly halfway through our first chapter book on this channel, and it's called Sideways Stories from Wayside School. If you're brand new here and this is the first video of mine you're seeing, I want to say welcome. I'm really glad that you've come across these videos and that you're here for story time. But I do want to suggest that you go back and you find the beginning of this book series and you listen to it from the beginning. That way you're caught up and you know who the characters are and you know what's happening in the story. I don't want you to jump in halfway through and get lost. For those of you that have followed me all the way along, welcome back. Let's get started. Go grab a friend and come cuddle up because it's story time with Sarah. Chapter 15, Dee Dee. This story contains a problem and a solution. Dee Dee was a mousy-looking kid. Unlike most children at Wayside School, she liked recess better than spelling. As soon as the recess bell rang, she would jump up from her seat and run out the door. There were big signs in Wayside School on every floor. No jumping down the stairs. Dee Dee never seemed to notice the signs. She jumped down the stairs. Some children took the stairs 2 at a time. Dee Dee took them 10 at a time. That was on the way down. It was funny. She never seemed to be in quite the same hurry on the way back up. There was another sign at Wayside School. No cutting across the grass. Dee Dee must not have seen that one either. She cut across the grass and ran up to Louis, the art teacher. "I want a green ball," Dee Dee said. The green balls were the best. "I'm all out of green balls," said Louis. "Okay, then I want a red ball," said Dee Dee. The red balls were just about as good as the green balls. They didn't bounce as high, but actually, sometimes you don't want a ball to bounce too high. "I'm all out of the red balls too," said Louis. "Oh, do you have anything left?" asked Dee Dee. Dee Dee meant anything besides the yellow ball. There was one yellow ball at Wayside School, and Louis was always trying to get rid of it. It didn't bounce, and it never went the way it was kicked. "Anything at all?" asked Dee Dee. "Today is your lucky day," said Louis. "I have one ball left, just for you. The one and only yellow ball." "Oh, no thanks," said Dee Dee. "Oh, come on, take it," said Louis. "Why don't you ever have any green or red balls?" asked Dee Dee. "I do," said Louis, "but the other children ask first. By the time you get out here, they're all gone." "That's because I have to come all the way from the 30th story. How do you expect me to compete with the kids from the first or the second?" she asked. "That's why I saved you the yellow ball," said Louis. "Everybody wanted it, but I saved it just for you." "Oh, I bet," said Dee Dee. She took the yellow ball and bounced it on the ground. It stopped dead with a thud. She stepped back, ran up, and kicked it. It went backwards over her head. She didn't bother chasing it. Instead, she played hopscotch with Jeannie and Leslie. She thought it was disgusting. The next day, Dee Dee asked Mrs. Jules if she could go to recess early. "Why?" asked Mrs. Jules. "So I can get a green ball before Louis gives them all away," said Dee Dee. "I'm glad you had a good reason," said Mrs. Jules. "Yes, you may go, but first, spell Mississippi for me." Spelling was not Dee Dee's best subject. By the time she finally got it right, she was 5 minutes late for recess. She jumped down the stairs, cut across the grass, and ran up to Louis. There were no green balls left, and there were no red balls left either. However, there was still the yellow ball. Dee Dee played jump rope with Joy and Mauricia. It was no better than hopscotch. So Dee Dee's problem was to figure out a way to get a green ball or at least a red ball. You already know that this story contains a solution. Dee Dee figured it out. See if you can too. Remember everything you know about Dee Dee, Wayside School, and Mrs. Jules. Hint: the next day, Dee Dee brought a cream cheese and jelly sandwich, some nuts, and shredded cheese in her lunchbox. And here's what happened. Just before recess, Dee Dee smeared the cream cheese and jelly all over her face. Then she stuffed her mouth with nuts and hung the shredded cheese from her nose. When she closed her eyes, she looked just like a dead rat. Todd was in on the plan. "Mrs. Jules," he called, "there's a dead rat in the classroom." Mrs. Jules was very put out. "I want that dead rat outside immediately." When Mrs. Jules said immediately, she meant it. Dee Dee instantly found herself outside on the playground. "I want a green ball," she said. Louis pretended that he hadn't heard her. "May I please have a green ball?" asked Dee Dee. Louis gave her a green ball. "I don't know how you did it, Dee Dee, but you're first today," he said. When Mrs. Jules found out that Dee Dee and Todd had tricked her, she sent Todd home early on the kindergarten bus. Dee Dee threw the green ball on the ground. It bounced 50 feet straight up in the air, and then she caught it. "You don't like me, do you?" she asked Louis. "Sure I do," said Louis. "No, you don't," said Dee Dee. "Yes, I like you," said Louis. "No, you don't," Dee Dee insisted. "Yes, I like you. I really do," said Louis. "Are you sure?" asked Dee Dee. "Yes," said Louis. "Don't you believe me?" "I guess so," said Dee Dee. "Do you like me?" asked Louis. "You bet," said Dee Dee. "You're my best friend." "Terrific," said Louis. "I always wanted to be best friends with a dead rat." Chapter 16, DJ. DJ skipped up the 30 flights of stairs to Mrs. Jules' room. He was grinning from ear to ear, from nose to chin, from here to there and back again. "Hey, DJ," Todd shouted. "Glad to see you." Todd was a pushover for smiling faces. Mrs. Jules heard him. She began to write Todd's name on the board under discipline, but when she saw DJ's smile, she put down the chalk. "Good morning, DJ," she said. "What are you so happy about?" DJ grinned and shrugged his shoulders. Mrs. Jules smiled. Damien looked at the smile on Mrs. Jules' face, and then at Todd's, and finally at DJ's. Then Damien smiled too. His smile was almost as big as DJ's. They were best friends. Once they saw the two of them smiling, the rest of the class couldn't help but smile. Rondi had a very cute one due to her missing front teeth, and nobody had an ugly smile. Jason came late to school. He was very upset, but the first thing he saw was Damien's smile, and he felt a little bit better. Then he saw Rondi's toothless grin, and he even began to smile a little himself. But when he saw the piano on DJ's face, he fell laughing onto the floor. Everybody started to laugh, even Kathy, and she hardly ever laughed except when someone hurt himself. The whole room seemed to be laughing, not just the people in it. The blackboard chuckled, the ceiling snickered, and the desks were jumping up and down, and the chairs were slapping one another on the back. The floor was very ticklish. It laughed until the walls turned purple, and the trash can started to sing, and all the pencils stood up and danced. Finally, things began to settle down. Mrs. Jules wiped her eyes and said, "DJ, why don't you tell the class why you're so happy? At least let us know what we are laughing about." But DJ just kept on smiling. "Aw, come on, DJ," said Dee Dee. "Tell us." DJ didn't say a word. He couldn't. His mouth was stretched out of shape. "Let me guess," said Ron. "If we guess right, will you tell us?" DJ nodded his head. His smile began to hurt his ears. Everyone took one guess. "Have you been swimming? Is it your birthday? Are you in love? Did you get a green ball?" Nobody guessed right. At recess, DJ was still smiling. Louis, the yard teacher, called, "Hey, DJ, come here." They walked to the far corner of the playground where they were alone. "What's up, DJ?" Louis asked. DJ just smiled. "Come on, DJ, you can tell me. Why are you so happy?" DJ looked up at him. He said, "You need a reason to be sad. You don't need a reason to be happy." Smiles are contagious, and I hope that DJ's smile story helped you understand that you don't need a reason to be happy. Just smile and help other people smile around you. From the Book Nook here in Canby, that's all that I've got for you today. Tune in next time for the next couple of chapters and sideways stories from Wayside School. Have a great day.